Hi everyone, so this is our second video, part 2. So we are going to now look at creating our first project. So obviously we're going to open Prose. Okay, and so once it's opened, I'm going to go Prose, create a new Prose project. Okay, and so this says choose a directory. So you don't just enter a name here, it's important that you actually choose a location. So okay, let's say desktop probably is a decent idea since this is a tutorial. And then we're going to create a new folder for the project. So let's just say tutorial project. And the kernel is basically like what version of the firmware of their code are we using. So the latest is usually a good option, and also I only have one. And if you just install this, you probably only have one too. Okay, so create, and let's see how this goes. Okay, we got a green thing, it worked successfully, that's great. And now if I go to my desktop, it's on the other monitor, but you'll see in whatever directory you chose, really you probably wouldn't choose the desktop, but I did. So there's now a folder and it has these files in it and more folders. And back in Prose here on the left, it opened up the folder here on this little Project Explorer pane. And again, you can see the subfolders and some files. Okay, and it also apparently automatically opened the opcontrol.c file, which conveniently is the file that we're going to be most interested in here. Let me close some of this other junk that's open, so we don't need this welcome screen right now. So let me talk about this project structure a little bit. So first off, like, oh my gosh, there's these folders and all these files, what am I supposed to do? So first off, like, don't panic. You won't need to worry about almost everything here for a while. For right now, we're just going to be interested in the stuff in this src, which is short for source folder. And so here we have an auto.c and an init.c and then the opcontrol.c that it had already opened. And there's also a makefile, don't worry about that. Again, so these three are the most interesting things for now. And so auto.c, auto is referring to autonomous, so as in like in a match you have your driver control period and you have your autonomous period. So this is for your autonomous code. And we'll talk about that later. Right now we're not going to be writing any autonomous code, but if we were, it would go in this file. In here we have init.c. This is code that runs when the robot is first turned on. So before you go into autonomous period, or before you go into operator control, or if you're not connected to the competition switch, if you're just driving your robot at home, this is the first code that gets run. And for right now, there's nothing that we need to put here, but if you're using sensors and stuff, you'll find out that that goes in this initialize file. Okay, and then the third thing is the opcontrol.c. So this is the operator control code, and it's also where we'll just write ordinary code for using our robot at home. Because when you turn on the robot, it goes into operator control mode if you're not using a competition switch or field control or anything. So basically, if you're at home, you want to drive your robot, write code here. Okay, and so if we look at this right now, what we have here is we have a lot of gray text, and these are comments. So what that means is that all this is not code at all. It's just text that they've written here to give us some information. And like as far as the robot is concerned, this does not exist. It's absolutely meaningless. It's not seen by the robot because it's a comment and it's not code. And what's nice is that Atom makes this gray, so you can obviously tell it apart from this nice color text, which is actual code. Okay, and so this is like some information about what we have here, and so is this about what this function down here does. And then here, this include main.h. We're not going to worry about that right now. What we basically should know is that in this function here is where we're going to write the code to actually do things. And specifically, we're going to write it inside these curly braces. So operator control starts with this curly brace and ends with this underlined curly brace. And we'll talk about what this while 1 delay 20 means in a minute. But for right now, we have our first project, we can save it because I just made a change to it. That button is save. You could also do Control S. And now we're going to build our project in order to make sure that it worked. And I'm not sure which button does that. Maybe there is no button. So this one would upload it to our robot, but we don't have robot. But I think it will still build it. Yeah, it will. No. Okay, yeah, so it said there's no Cortex plugged in, which there isn't. So that's what you would expect. Let me see if I can figure out how to build. Build toggle panel first targets. Let's try that. Okay, so I think that worked. Basically what building does is it goes through your code and it, I'm trying to explain this in like non-technical terms. It goes through your code basically and makes sure that the code doesn't have any errors in it, and then it prepares it to be sent to the robot. And so then this button would build it, it would do all that what I just described, and then it would send it to the robot, send it to the Cortex. So for example, if I just like write some garbage here, so that's, you know, bad code, it comes up with a little red dot that says this is basically wrong. Now if I try and build it, it should not work correctly. Oh, okay, and so I need to save it before I build it. If I build without saving, then it'll build the last saved code, which would be before I added this. So save, okay, and so now it came flashed red, and it says there's an error, and it says that the error is right here with this garbage that I wrote, which is what we'd expect. Okay. So in the next video, we'll actually like talk about writing the code. This was just supposed to be about how to create your project, and also a quick little walkthrough of what the projects look like. Let's close that. Okay. All right. So in the next video, we will actually start writing operator control code.